The stars looked different from the observation deck of the USS Defiant. Captain Jane Miller stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching Earth grow smaller in the distance. The blue-green planet shimmered against the blackness of space, still beautiful despite everything. Today should have been a day of celebration. After 80 years of contact with alien life, humanity was finally going to join the Galactic Council. Jane sighed and turned away from the view. Her dark uniform felt tight around her neck today. "Status report," she said to the young officer, beside her. "All systems normal, Captain," said Lieutenant Eric Boyd. "We're maintaining position as ordered. The Council representatives should be boarding the station in about 30 minutes. Jane nodded. The space station Unity hung in orbit above Earth, built specifically for this historic meeting. It represented decades of human effort and goodwill. President Rivera and the other world leaders were already there, preparing to sign the treaty. That would make Earth the newest member of the galactic community. "Something doesn't feel right," Jane said quietly. "Ma'am?" Eric looked confused. Jane shook her head. "Just a feeling. Keep all sensors at maximum range. I want to know if any vessel makes an unexpected move." "Yes, Captain." Miles below them, Lieutenant Sam Williams sat at his station in Earth's defensive grid control center. His eyes moved between 6 different screens, monitoring the energy readings from the 23 Council ships currently in Earth's orbit. Most were diplomatic vessels, with representatives from over 50 alien species. At least, that's what they were supposed to be. Sam frowned and adjusted his glasses. "Hey, Paul, take a look at this." Paul Garcia, his supervisor, walked over. "What is it?" "These energy readings from the Krell flagship. They don't match what's in their registry. They're putting out way more power than they should need for a diplomatic mission." Paul leaned closer. "Huh, that is odd. What about the others?" Sam typed quickly, pulling up more data. "The Zentari ships too, and the Drac vessels, all showing power levels at least 40% higher than declared." Paul straightened up. "I'll inform the general. Keep monitoring, but don't raise any alerts yet. This is a diplomatic triumph. We don't want to jeopardize it with what might just be a calibration error." Sam nodded, but the uneasy feeling in his stomach grew. Something wasn't right. In the main chamber of Unity Station, Ambassador Richard Collins adjusted his tie for the 3rd time. The room was filled with representatives from Earth and various council species. Some looked almost human, while others were so alien that Richard still had trouble reading their expressions even after years of diplomatic training. The air smelled faintly sweet, a blend of oxygen mixed to accommodate the different breathing needs of the diverse group. Soft music played in the background, a piece composed specifically for this occasion, combining human classical traditions with alien harmonies. Richard smiled politely as a tall, willowy delegate from Proxima Centauri nodded to him, but his smile faded as he noticed a group of Krell representatives huddled together, their scaled faces serious, their 4 eyes darting around the room. The Krell were one of the elder races, among the first to achieve interstellar travel. They found the Council 10,000 years ago. Their High Minister Zaxakor would be leading today's ceremony. Richard walked casually toward them, pretending to admire a nearby display of artwork. Their voices were low, but his translator picked up fragments. Timeline accelerated. Defenses. Mapped. Necessary sacrifices. Richard's heart beat faster. He changed direction and looked for President Rivera. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. He spotted her across the room, surrounded by her security team and talking with the delegates from Sirius. Richard began moving toward her, but stopped when Zaxakor's voice boomed through the chamber's speakers. "Honored delegates of Earth and the Galactic Council," the Krell minister said, his forearms raised in what should have been a gesture of peace. "We gather today for a momentous occasion." Richard noticed now that several council races were absent. The Nelvarians, the Prussians, and the Taucidians, all species known for their strong ethical codes and opposition to the elder race's more aggressive policies. "For the stability of the galaxy," Zaxakor continued, "certain regrettable but necessary decisions must be made. The Council has determined Earth's future role." President Rivera stepped forward, confusion on her face. Minister Zaxakor, this isn't the agreed protocol for today's ceremony. The Krell's upper eyes blinked slowly. No, it is not. The lights in the chamber suddenly dimmed. The translator in Richard's ear went silent. He reached for his communication device, but it too was dead. Through the large viewing windows, Richard saw a massive council mothership move into position, above Earth. Its hull opened, revealing a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A beam of blue-white energy shot from the ship, streaking toward Earth's surface. "What are you doing?" President Rivera shouted. "We came in peace, and we thank you for your cooperation," Zaxakor said. "It made mapping your defenses much easier." On the USS Defiant, alarms blared. Jane Miller rushed to the bridge, shouting orders. "Battle stations, all shields up. Get me a communication link to Earth Command." "Captain, Earth's global communications are down," Eric reported, his face pale. "The Council mothership has activated some kind of weapon system. It's targeting our planetary defense grid." "Get us between that ship and Earth," Jane ordered. "Captain, we'd be destroyed instantly," her tactical officer said. Jane gripped the edge of her command chair. "Then target their weapon system. Fire. Everything we've got." The Defiant moved swiftly, its weapons charging. But before they could fire, 3 Council warships appeared, surrounding them. "Message coming in from the Krell flagship," Eric said. The screen showed Zaxakor's face. "Captain Miller, stand down your vessel. Earth has been selected for resource appropriation. The Council requires your planet's unique geological composition. Your species had the misfortune of evolving on a world rich in elements essential to our future technology." "This is an act of war," Jane said, her voice steady despite her rage. "Earth is a sovereign world. We came to you in friendship." "And we accepted that friendship while it served our purpose," the Krell replied. "Now a new phase begins. Resist, and your death will be immediate. Cooperate, and some of your people may be permitted to live as servants." The communication ended. Jane looked at her crew, their faces showing shock, fear, and anger. Below them, the blue-white beam from the mothership struck Earth's main defense facility. The planet's shields flickered and died. Smaller Council ships began to descend toward major cities. The betrayal of Earth had begun. 3 days after the attack began, smoke filled the skies above every major city on Earth. Council ships moved freely through the atmosphere, targeting military bases and government buildings. The few human ships that tried to fight back were quickly destroyed. Dr. Laura Davis watched the satellite feed from her underground lab in Colorado. Her hands shook as she swiped through images of New York, Beijing, and London. All showed the same scene: tall alien structures rising from the ruins, with strange machines drilling into the ground. "They're not just invading," she said to her team of scientists. "They're mining something." Alan Reed, her assistant, nodded. "I've analyzed the soil samples from near the drilling sites. They're extracting a rare element called neutronium. It's extremely uncommon in the galaxy, but Earth has it in abundance, especially deep in the core." Laura pushed her red hair away from her face. She hadn't slept in 2 days. "So that's why they betrayed us. Not to conquer us, but to take what's beneath our feet." "The neutronium is useless to us," Alan said. "But for them, it powers their fastest ships. 1 pound can fuel a starship for a century." The lab door opened and 5 soldiers entered. They were dirty and tired, their uniforms torn. The man leading them had gray hair and a general's stars on his collar. "Dr. Davis?" he asked. "I'm General Frank Patterson. We need your help." Laura stood up. "What's left of our military?" The general's face was grim. "Not much. They took out our major bases in the first hour. We have scattered forces fighting back, but we're outgunned. The president and most world leaders were captured at Unity Station." "What about our space forces?" Alan asked. "Most were destroyed. A few ships managed to escape, including the USS Defiant. Captain Miller is trying to gather survivors in the asteroid belt." Laura led the general to her computer. "We've been studying the Council ships. They have advanced technology, but they're not invincible. Their shields have a weakness." She showed him data readings and diagrams. The general didn't understand. "All of it?" but he got the main point. You're saying we can hurt them? Yes, but we need time and resources. And we need to know their plans. General Patterson pulled out a small device. We captured this from a dead council soldier. It's some kind of communication tool. Can you access it? Laura took the device. It was smooth and black with strange symbols on its surface. We'll try. In space, the USS Defiant hid behind a large asteroid. The ship was damaged but still operational. On the bridge, Captain Jane Miller studied a star map, while listening to fragmented radio signals from Earth. Resistance forming in the Rocky Mountains. Thousands dead in Europe. Council forces mining in South America. Jane turned to her communications officer. Any response to our distress call? Lieutenant Eric Boyd shook his head. Nothing, Captain. Most of our allies in the system were taken out in the first wave. The moon base went dark 2 hours ago. Jane closed her eyes briefly. The moon base had over 2,000 people, including her brother. She pushed the thought away and focused on the problem at hand. What about the colony ships, she asked. We've contacted 3 of them, Eric said. They were in deep space on their way to Mars and the outer planets. They're changing course to meet us here. Jane nodded. The colony ships weren't designed for war, but they were large and could hold many people. A plan was forming in her mind. Something desperate but possibly humanity's only hope. Send a coded message to any Earth forces that can still hear us, she ordered. Tell them about Protocol Omega. Her officers looked at her with wide eyes. Protocol Omega was Earth's doomsday contingency, created years ago but never expected to be used. If the planet faced an extinction-level threat, specially prepared ships would try to escape with as many survivors as possible, carrying Earth's genetic heritage and cultural knowledge to the stars. Are you sure, Captain? Eric asked. Jane looked at the distant blue dot that was Earth, now partly obscured by council ships. I'm sure. If Earth falls, humanity must survive elsewhere. On Earth, in a hidden bunker beneath Washington, D.C., Major Daniel Johnson led a group of 30 soldiers and civilians through narrow tunnels. They had escaped the capital just before council forces leveled most of it. Keep moving, he told them. We need to reach the safe zone by nightfall. A young woman carrying a baby stumbled. Daniel caught her arm. You okay, Mia? She nodded, her face dirty and tired. Just need a moment. Tim is getting heavy. Daniel looked at the baby, sleeping, despite everything. I'll carry him for a while. As they moved through the tunnel, Daniel's radio crackled. Major Johnson, this is Delta Team. We've reached the rendezvous point. No council patrols in the area, but we've got something else you need to see. What is it? Daniel asked. A message. From space. Captain Miller of the USS Defiant. She's calling for Protocol Omega. Daniel stopped walking. Protocol Omega meant one thing. Earth was considered lost. The focus now would be on saving who and what they could. It was the admission of defeat, but also the refusal to allow humanity to die. Understood, he said finally. We'll be there in 2 hours. Start preparing for evacuation. He turned to the group behind him. Change of plans. We're heading to Site B. It's farther, but it has what we need now. In her lab, Laura Davis finally cracked the alien device. Data streamed across her screen, translated into English by her computer program. Her face grew more concerned with each line she read. General, she called. You need to see this. General Patterson looked over her shoulder. What am I looking at? The Council's timeline. According to this, they plan to strip the entire planet. They're setting up massive drills at strategic points around the world. Once operational, these drills will bore straight to the core to extract the neutronium. And what happens to Earth? Laura looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears. Earth will be hollowed out. The crust will collapse. Nothing will survive. How long do we have? 3 months? Maybe 4. After that, the damage will be irreversible. The general was quiet for a long moment. Then he straightened his shoulders. Then we have 3 months to either drive them off or get as many people off planet as possible. Laura nodded slowly. There might be a third option. She pulled up complex equations and diagrams. If we can't save Earth, maybe we can make sure they don't get what they came for either. What are you suggesting? Earth's core contains enough energy that, if weaponized correctly, could create a defensive system unlike anything the Council has seen. We might lose the planet, but we'll make sure they don't get it either. General Patterson looked at the plans, not understanding the science but grasping the implication. You're talking about destroying Earth ourselves. I'm talking about saving humanity by making sure our enemies don't profit from our destruction, Laura replied. And maybe, just maybe, giving our evacuation ships a chance to get far away from here. Outside the lab, the sound of distant explosions echoed. The resistance against the Council had begun, but time was already running out. 2 months after the invasion began, Earth looked very different. Large metal structures reached into the sky from every continent. The Council's mining operations were visible from space as deep, glowing wounds in the planet's surface. The human population had been cut in half. Millions had died in the initial attacks. Millions more had been taken to work camps near the drilling sites. But humans were survivors, and they fought back. Major Daniel Johnson crawled through wet grass, his face smeared with mud for camouflage. 5 soldiers followed him, moving silently toward a small Council outpost. The alien building glowed with a soft blue light, its curved walls unlike any human architecture. Remember, Daniel whispered to his team, we need the communications equipment intact, no explosives unless absolutely necessary. The soldiers nodded. They had been training for this mission for weeks. The outpost was minimally guarded, with only 4 Zentari soldiers. The insect-like aliens were tough fighters but poor at night operations. Daniel checked his watch. 3 minutes until the power flicker. When the lights go down, we move. 2 miles away, a small team of engineers prepared to briefly disable the local power grid. The Council relied on Earth's existing infrastructure for their smaller outposts, a weakness the Resistance had learned to exploit. Right on time, the blue lights of the outpost dimmed. Daniel and his team rushed forward. They reached the entrance. Before the backup generators kicked in, the door slid open and they moved inside. The first Zentari guard never saw them coming. The second managed to reach for its weapon before falling. Within minutes, the outpost was secured. Daniel went straight to the main control room. Start downloading everything, he ordered a young soldier who was their computer specialist. Yes, sir, she replied, connecting her equipment to the alien console. While they worked, Daniel explored the rest of the outpost. In a back room, he found something unexpected, a holding cell with a prisoner. The alien inside was unlike the Council, species Daniel had seen before. It was tall and slender with pale blue skin and 4 arms. The alien looked up as Daniel entered. Human, it said in a surprisingly clear voice. I had hoped to meet your kind under better circumstances. Daniel kept his weapon ready. Who are you? I am Zorax, a representative of the Nelvarian Collective. My people refused to participate in the Council's attack on your world. Daniel studied the alien. Why are you locked up? Because I spoke against this atrocity. Several younger species in the Council questioned the attack on Earth. The elder races did not appreciate our dissent. Before Daniel could respond, his radio crackled. Major download complete, but you need to see this right now. Daniel hurried back to the control room, keeping an eye on Zorax, who followed him. The computer specialist pointed to her screen, which showed translated Council communications. They planned this for years, she said. Look at the dates. They were manipulating our technological development, guiding us in directions that wouldn't threaten them while assessing Earth's resources. Daniel read quickly. The scope of the betrayal was even greater than they had imagined. Does it say anything about their current plans? She nodded grimly. Phase 2 of drilling operations begins in 3 weeks. Once that happens, the damage to Earth's core will be irreversible. Daniel's jaw tightened. We need to get this information to General Patterson and Dr. Davis immediately. He turned to Zorax. Are you coming with us? The alien nodded. If you will have me, I may be able to help your resistance efforts. In the asteroid belt, The USS Defiant docked with a much larger vessel. It was one of Earth's colony ships, the Phoenix, originally built to establish a human settlement on Mars. Now it served a far different purpose. Captain Jane Miller floated through the zero-gravity docking tube, entering the Phoenix's main hall. The space was filled with hundreds of people, survivors rescued from Earth or from destroyed orbital stations. Commander Olivia Ward, the Phoenix's captain, greeted her. "Welcome aboard, Captain Miller. We've completed the modifications you requested." Jane nodded. "How many ships do we have now?" 7, including the Defiant. 3 colony ships, 2 cargo vessels, and a science ship. Together, we can carry about 20,000 people. Jane's expression was grim. "There are billions still on Earth." Olivia touched her arm. "We can't save everyone. We can only try to preserve enough of humanity to ensure our survival as a species." "Any word from the Resistance?" "Yes, we received a transmission from General Patterson yesterday. Dr. Davis has made progress on her project. They're calling it Earth's Last Stand." Jane followed Olivia to the bridge. Large screens showed images of Earth, partially obscured by Council ships. Other screens displayed star maps with possible escape routes marked in green. "The problem," Olivia explained, "is that no matter which direction we flee, the Council will be able to track and follow us. Their ships are faster, and they control most of the local star systems." Jane studied the maps. "Then we need to go where they can't follow." In her underground lab, Dr. Laura Davis hadn't slept in 3 days. Her eyes were red, her hands shaky as she worked on complex calculations. General Patterson watched her with concern. "You need rest, Doctor," he said. Laura shook her head. "No time. Look at this." She pointed to her screen where a simulation showed Earth's core vibrating at an unusual frequency. "If we detonate our remaining nuclear arsenal at these specific points around the planet, we can create a chain reaction in the core, creating a weapon, as you suggested before." "More than that." Laura's eyes were bright with exhaustion and terrible purpose. "We can create a wormhole." The general looked skeptical. "A wormhole? Like in science fiction?" "The theory has been sound for decades. We just never had the energy required to make it happen. But Earth's core, especially with its neutronium content, has enough potential energy." She pulled up another simulation. "When the core destabilizes, it will create a tear in spacetime. The energy release will destroy any Council ships in the system. And Earth," Laura looked down, "will be gone. But the wormhole might, just might, allow our evacuation ships to travel farther than the Council could ever follow." The general was silent for a long moment. "How long to set this up?" 2 weeks if we can get teams to all the necessary locations. "And how many people can we evacuate in 2 weeks?" Laura's voice was barely a whisper. "Maybe a few 100,000, less than 1% of our remaining population." The lab door opened and a soldier rushed in. "General, Major Johnson has returned. He brought information from a Council outpost and—" "Sir, he has an alien with him, one that wants to help us." In a small meeting room, Major Daniel Johnson introduced Zorax to General Patterson and Dr. Davis. The alien bowed, and what it had learned was a human gesture of respect. "The attack on your world was never put to a full Council vote," Zorax explained. "The elder races decided among themselves. Many of us were deceived as well." "Can your people help us fight them off?" the general asked. Zorax's 4 hands made a complicated gesture. "My people are few, and while we have some military capacity, we cannot stand against the combined might of the elder races. But we can help in other ways." The alien turned to Dr. Davis. "I understand you are working on a weapon of last resort. I have knowledge that may assist you. And more importantly, I have access to Council transmission protocols. We can broadcast what is happening here to all species in the galaxy. If humans are to be destroyed, let the truth of this genocide be known to all." Dr. Davis looked at General Patterson, who nodded slowly. "Show me what you know," she said to Zorax. "We have very little time." Outside, the sky flashed with distant explosions as human resistance fighters continued their desperate battle against overwhelming odds. The countdown to Earth's final stand had begun. The underground bunker was crowded with people. Maps covered the walls, marked with red dots showing Council mining operations and blue dots showing resistance strongholds. The blue dots were fewer each day. General Frank Patterson stood at the center table, surrounded by his remaining officers. Major Daniel Johnson pointed to a large council facility in what used to be northern Canada. "This is their main extraction control center," Daniel said. "All the drilling operations are coordinated from here. If we can hit it hard enough, we might buy ourselves a few more days." General Patterson nodded. "We'll need those days. Dr. Davis says her project is almost ready, but we still need time to get more people to the evacuation points." A soldier rushed into the room. "Sir, we've got a problem. Council dropships are landing 10 miles from here. They found us." The general's face showed no fear, only determination. "How long until they reach us?" 3 hours, maybe 4. "Then, we have 3 hours to evacuate this base. Get the civilians to the tunnels first. All research data goes with Dr. Davis. Nothing useful stays behind for them to find." As the room emptied, Daniel stayed behind. "Sir, we can't keep running. Each base we lose means fewer places to hide our people." The general put a hand on the younger man's shoulder. "I know. That's why we're changing strategies. It's time for Earth's last stand." In the lab area, Dr. Laura Davis worked frantically with Zorax. The alien's forearms moved with incredible speed, adjusting equipment and entering data. On the main screen, a complex diagram showed Earth's core with 12 blinking points around it. "The placement must be exact," Zorax said. "If any of the devices are off by more than 2 kilometers, the reaction will fail." Laura rubbed her tired eyes. "And if they're placed correctly? Then your world's core will create the most powerful wormhole this galaxy has ever seen." Laura felt a chill despite the warm air of the bunker. "Powerful enough to get our ships beyond the Council's reach?" "Potentially much farther than that," Zorax replied. His large eyes blinked slowly. "Your species has achieved much in its short time among the stars. I regret that we did not meet sooner, before the elder races decided your fate." Laura studied. The alien who had become her unlikely ally. "Why are you helping us? You're risking everything." Zorax was quiet for a moment. "Because what is happening to your people happened to mine, long ago. The Nelvarians you see today are refugees from another galaxy. We fled when a power similar to the Council decided our homeworld had resources they wanted." Before Laura could respond, General Patterson entered the lab. "We're evacuating. Council forces found us. You have 1 hour to pack up everything essential." In orbit above Earth, the fleet of human evacuation ships grew. The USS Defiant had just returned from another dangerous rescue mission, bringing 300 more survivors to the Phoenix. Captain Jane Miller floated in the observation deck, watching her damaged ship being repaired by EVA teams. Commander, Olivia Ward joined her. "That was too close, Jane. You almost didn't make it back this time." Jane's face was tired but determined. "We can't stop now. Every person we save matters." "The colony ships are at 90% capacity," Olivia said. "All 7 vessels are stocked with seeds, animal embryos, and cultural archives. If we have to leave now, humanity would have a fighting chance wherever we end up." Jane turned to face her friend. "But billions would die. I can't give the order to leave while there's still a chance to save more." Olivia handed her a tablet. "This just came in from General Patterson. Dr. Davis's project is ready. They're calling everyone to make final evacuations. We have 6 days. Before they trigger the core reaction." Jane read the report, her expression growing more serious with each line. "They found a way to direct the wormhole?" "Yes, using the neutronium in Earth's core. Apparently, Zorax provided critical information about how it reacts to certain energy patterns." Jane looked back at Earth. From this distance, it still looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. "Home. Send the order." To all ships, she said quietly. Final evacuation protocols. We make as many runs as we can in 6 days, then we position the fleet for wormhole entry. On Earth, Major Daniel Johnson led a team of 50 soldiers toward the Council's main extraction facility. They moved through dense forest, avoiding roads and open areas where Council patrols might spot them. Remember, he told his team, this isn't about winning anymore. It's about buying time and causing as much damage as possible. The massive Council structure came into view as they reached the edge of the trees. It rose like an alien mountain, glowing with strange lights. Hundreds of Council soldiers guarded it, along with automated defense turrets. That's a lot of firepower, whispered Kelly Adams, Daniel's second-in-command. Are you sure this isn't a suicide mission? Daniel checked. His weapon. Probably is. But if we don't slow down their drilling operations, Dr. Davis won't have time to complete her project. And if that happens, humanity has no future. Kelly nodded. Then let's make it count. In another part of the world, in what was once central, Russia, Dr. Laura Davis supervised the placement of one of the 12 special devices needed for her project. The nuclear warhead had been modified according to Zorax's specifications, with special crystals that would direct the energy in specific patterns. Careful, she instructed the engineers. It needs to be exactly 23 meters below the surface. Her assistant Alan checked the readings on his tablet. Depth is correct. This is the 10th device in place. Teams report numbers 11 and 12 will be positioned within 24 hours. Laura allowed herself a small moment of hope. Then we're on schedule. A soldier approached her. Dr. Davis, we've got a secure transmission from Ambassador Collins. Laura was surprised. Richard Collins had been presumed captured during the initial attack on Unity Station. She followed the soldier to a communications tent. The face on the B screen was gaunt and tired, but alive. Dr. Davis, Ambassador Collins said, I don't have much time. I'm with a group of resistance fighters in Europe. Zorax's message got through to some of the younger Council species. The Procyon and Taucetians have officially condemned the attack on Earth. They're facing punishment from the elder races, but their ships are standing down. That won't stop the Krell and the others, Laura said. No, but it's causing confusion in their ranks. Some of their soldiers are questioning orders. It might give us the edge we need. His image flickered. We've also been getting strange readings from the Council mothership. They seem to be preparing for some kind of final operation. Laura felt a chill. The Phase 2 drilling. If they start, my project won't work. How much time do you need? 4 more days to place the final devices and evacuate as many people as possible. Then 2 days to align the energy patterns correctly. Richard's face was grim. I don't think we have that long. Their mothership is powering up its main systems. Whatever they're planning, it's happening soon. The transmission suddenly cut off. Laura stared at the blank screen, her mind racing. She grabbed her radio. Get me General Patterson, now. The Council extraction facility, the night erupted in explosions. Major Johnson's team had split into 5 groups, hitting different parts of the complex simultaneously. Council alarm systems wailed as fires broke out across the facility. In the chaos, Daniel led his group toward the central control building. If they could destroy it, the drilling operations would be set back significantly. Cover me, he told his team as they reached the main entrance. He placed explosive charges on the door while Kelly and the others fired at Council soldiers rushing toward them. The door blew open, and they moved inside. The alien technology surrounded them, pulsing with energy. Daniel went straight to what looked like the main power conduits. Plant charges here, here, and here, he ordered. As his team worked, a massive rumble shook the building. It was different from their explosions, deeper, more powerful. Kelly looked up in alarm. That came from underground. Daniel checked the alien monitors, trying to make sense of the symbols. I think they've started the Phase 2 drilling. They're ahead of schedule. The floor beneath them trembled again, more violently this time. Cracks appeared in the walls. We need to get out of here, Kelly said. The whole place is becoming unstable. Daniel finished setting the last charge. 30, Seconds, and then we run. In the bunker command center, General Patterson received the emergency call from Dr. Davis. His face grew more serious as she explained the situation. "So, we're out of time," he said when she finished. "If they've started Phase 2 drilling, how long before it's too late?" 24 hours, maybe less, Laura replied. "Once they reach a certain depth, the core destabilization will happen naturally. Our devices won't be able to control the reaction." The general made the hardest decision of his life. "Then we move up the timeline. Get the last 2 devices in place immediately. I'll contact Captain Miller and order all evacuation ships to make their final runs now." He looked around at his staff. "Send the order to all resistance forces. Operation Last Stand begins now." The sky over Earth turned strange colors as the Council's Phase 2 drilling operations damaged the planet's magnetic field. Green and purple lights like giant auroras filled the night sky. The ground shook with increasing frequency. Oceans rose and fell in unusual patterns, causing floods along coastal areas. In what remained of New York City, thousands of people rushed toward the harbor where small ships waited to take them to the evacuation vessels in orbit. Council patrols tried to stop them, but resistance fighters kept the aliens busy, buying time with their lives. Similar scenes played out in other pickup zones around the world. It was humanity's last exodus, a desperate race to save as many as possible before Earth died. Dr. Laura Davis worked frantically at a makeshift control center near the Rocky Mountains. All 12 devices were now in place around the world, buried deep in the Earth. Each contained a modified nuclear warhead surrounded by special crystals provided by Zorax. "Final device is reporting ready," Alan said, his voice tight with tension. Laura nodded. "Begin the synchronization sequence." On screens around her, data flowed in from each device. The timing had to be perfect. If the devices detonated in the wrong order, the reaction would simply destroy Earth without creating the wormhole they desperately needed. General Patterson entered the control center. His uniform was dirty, his face streaked with soot from a recent battle. "Status report?" "Synchronization. At 70%, Laura replied. "We'll be ready to activate in 3 hours. We may not have 3 hours." The general showed her latest satellite images. The Council mothership had moved into a new position, directly above their largest drilling site. Energy readings from the ship were off the charts. Laura studied the data. "They're accelerating the process. I think they've realized what we're trying to do." "How much time does that leave us?" She did quick calculations in her head. 2 hours at most before their drilling reaches critical depth. The general's radio crackled. Major Johnson's voice came through, broken by static. "General, extraction facility partially destroyed. Heavy casualties. Council reinforcements arriving." "Fall back, Major," the general ordered. "Get your people to the nearest evacuation point. That's an order." "Can't do that, sir, and surrounded, holding them off as long as we can." The line went dead. The general closed his eyes briefly, honoring the sacrifice of Daniel and his team. Then he turned back to Laura. "Can you speed up the synchronization? If we rush it, the reaction might not create a stable wormhole. But yes, I can try." In orbit, Captain Jane Miller received the latest reports from Earth. The Defiant had just returned from its final evacuation run, bringing 300 more survivors to the fleet. "Council forces are converging on the remaining pickup zones," Eric reported. "And their mothership is emitting some kind of energy field that's affecting our scanners." Jane made her decision. "No more surface runs. It's too dangerous. Order all ships to prepare for wormhole transit." "What about the people still waiting for pickup?" Eric asked, his voice breaking. Jane's face showed her pain, but her voice remained steady. "We can't help them now. If we lose these ships, humanity has no future at all." She turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to General Patterson. Tell him we're in position and ready when they are." The fleet of 7 human ships moved into formation. The 3 colony vessels, Phoenix, Artemis, and Horizon, formed the center, with the USS Defiant and 3 smaller ships creating a protective ring around them. Together, they carried just over 23,000 humans, along with vast stores of Earth's knowledge, culture, and biological samples. It was a tiny fraction of humanity, but enough to ensure the species would continue. On Earth, Ambassador Richard Collins stood in the Council's main communication hub in Europe. His resistance fighters had captured it an hour earlier. Now he, prepared to send a final message to the galaxy. Zorax worked beside him, connecting his Nelvarian communication device to the hub's systems. "This will broadcast on all Council frequencies," the alien explained. "Every species in the galaxy will hear it." Richard nodded. "Good. If humanity is to be scattered among the stars, let the truth of what happened here be known." He stood before the camera, his diplomatic training helping him remain composed despite everything. "To all sentient species of the galaxy, I am Ambassador Richard Collins of Earth. Our world was betrayed by the Galactic Council. We came to them in peace, and they responded with genocide for our resources. The elder races of the Council, the Krell, the Zentari, and the Drak, orchestrated this destruction without the knowledge or consent of many younger Council members. They lied to you, just as they lied to us." As he spoke, images of the devastation on Earth played across the broadcast. Cities in ruins, massive drilling operations tearing into the planet, civilians being herded into work camps. "Humanity will not die here. Some of us will escape to the stars. And wherever we go, we will remember what was done to Earth. We will tell our children and our children's children." His voice grew stronger. "To the elder races, know this. You may take our world, but you will never take our spirit. And someday, somehow, humanity will return." In the control center, Laura's synchronization process reached completion just as massive tremors began shaking the mountain. "It's ready," she told General Patterson. "The sequence is set." The general picked up his secure radio. "All remaining forces, this is General Patterson. Operation Last Stand is now active. Get to your shelters if possible." He paused, then added, "It has been an honor to serve with you all." He turned to Laura. "Send the signal to Captain Miller, then activate the devices." Laura sent the coded message to the fleet, confirming the wormhole activation was imminent. Then she entered the final command sequence. Around the world, the 12 devices activated simultaneously. Deep in the Earth, the nuclear cores detonated, sending precisely calculated energy waves toward the planet's center. The neutronium in the core reacted just as Zorax had predicted. The ground heaved violently. Huge cracks appeared in the Earth's crust. The control center began to collapse around them. "It's working," Laura said, watching her instruments. "The core reaction is forming." In space, the Council mothership detected the massive energy surge from Earth. It began charging its main weapon, but it was already too late. The planet's crust fractured in dozens of places. Energy erupted from these wounds in blinding white beams. Captain Jane Miller watched from the bridge of the Defiant as Earth, humanity's home for millions of years, began to tear itself apart. The sight was both terrible and beautiful. Energy. "Surge detected," Eric reported. "It's creating a distortion in space-time directly ahead of us." "All ships, full power to forward shields," Jane ordered. "Prepare for wormhole entry." The space before the human fleet began to twist and distort. A swirling vortex formed, growing larger by the second. The wormhole was opening. On Earth, General Patterson looked at the monitor showing the fleet in position. He turned to Laura. "They're ready. Your plan worked." Laura nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I wish we could see where they end up." "Wherever it is," the general said, "they'll carry Earth with them. Our knowledge, our culture, our spirit." As the ceiling began to collapse, he sent one final message to the fleet. A single word that would be humanity's last command to its surviving children. Flee. In space, the wormhole stabilized momentarily. Captain Jane Miller received the general's final message. Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice was strong as she gave the order. "All ships, enter the wormhole. Now." The 7 ships moved forward, accelerating into the swirling vortex. Behind them, Earth's core exploded outward, destroying the Council mothership and dozens of other alien vessels. The shockwave expanded through the solar system, altering forever what had once been humanity's home. The wormhole collapsed behind the fleet, carrying the last free humans to an unknown destination, far beyond the reach of the Council that had betrayed them. Somewhere in the galaxy on the Council homeworld, young Nelvarians gathered in secret to listen to Ambassador Collins' broadcast. They made a silent vow to remember what had happened to Earth and to watch for humanity's return. And aboard the Phoenix, children pressed their faces to viewport windows, watching strange stars streak by as they traveled through the wormhole. They asked where they were going. Captain Miller looked at these children, humanity's future, and said, "To a new home. And someday, when we're ready, we'll return to the stars we left behind." The ship's log recorded their final status. Earth is lost. Humanity survives. Our journey begins.